need to focus on being in time, being in tune. I don't know how many times I've started playing with a guitarist and I've said, hey, have you checked your tuning? Yeah, I just checked it now. Ah. When did you last change your strings? 2017. Like, guitar strings need to be changed frequently. You can tune them up here, but it's going to be out here. You might need to get it professionally set up. And we're not talking about Mozartian perfection. We're just talking about be basically in tune, please. Because those things slightly out of tune and slightly out of time, they really leave the congregation unsure. So we focus on these fundamentals of musicality, having a good tone, appropriate volume, and crafting musical parts. And the best way for us to craft musical parts is to listen to the professional recording. Do not try to copy them, but steal some of their good ideas. But know this, less is almost always more. Less singing, less playing, but in time and in tune and with good tone will support the voice of our congregation way better than a lot of sound. When I do my workshops, and some of us might remember this, it's always less, isn't it? Less playing. But it sounded bigger, right? It sounded more full and more supporting when we played less, but more together. So less is almost always more. Can we go a couple of minutes over? We already have. Are we okay? Just a few more minutes? All right. There's a big problem I see. This is this arranger gap that I alluded to before, but there was a time when you could hand musicians notation, and they might be able to practice that notation, but they could read it, and everything they needed to know on the page was there. And I'm doing this because I used to play trumpet in bands, and you knew, 32 bars rest. You'd wait, and you'd count, and then you go, ba-da, ba-da, bow, and another 32 bars rest, right? But what happened in most church teams, everyone is playing all the time, and it's a sonic soup. It really is. You know, it's not musical and it's not engaging to your congregation. So we don't have the benefit of a professional arranger. We need to have a musical director, I think, a defined person on the team on any given Sunday. But if we hand people a chord chart and hand people a sound recording or make that available to them, we need to realize that our drummer, our bass player, our keyboardist, our guitarist, or whatever instrument we have, you now have to be an arranger as well as a player. You need to listen to the professional recording, and you should not be trying to copy Elevation or Hillsong, but listen. There's no drums for verse 1. Well, I won't play drums for verse 1. There's no drums in chorus 1. I won't play in chorus 1. And then verse 2's just got a floor tom with a kick drum. Well, I can copy that. And then we don't end up with a full drum beat until the final choruses after the bridge. So mapping the song out and deciding how you're going to approach the song from your instrument. This is what we've got to have happen, or it won't work. Our instrumentalists must also be developing as arrangers. And that's the main thing. I'm excited to do this with the 50 Order drummers on Wednesday night. Listen to a recording and realize, it's not about me playing one of my 5 favourite drum beats from beginning to end of every song. It's about crafting a sound from my drum kit that helps people sing the song. And let's remember what Mozart said. Notes are silver, rests are gold. Don't play all the time. Every instrument should be taking a break at some point. We've alluded to most of this, but vocalists, you need to realize we're there to guide the voice of the congregation. We need to really have melody in the male and female register through microphones, so every man, woman, and child in the room hears the note that they're being asked to sing. And I love stacking multiple singers together. This is a wonderful way to help that slightly pitchy vocalist learn to be a better singer by stacking them together with singers who are better than them. And I've actually found many singers might be pitchy when they're singing their own on their own, or a harmony on their own, but stack them with singers who are better than them, they very quickly become extremely useful as a singer. And that's the way to learn. You know, when we had choirs, you'd throw in anyone who said, I'll sing in the choir, you put them in the choir, right? But you'd stand them around people who were better than them, more experienced than them, and they would learn to sing. And if they got really good, you might say, let's give you a microphone, bring you out the front for a solo. But now what happens? I'll sing, sure, here's a microphone. And we go, they're pitchy. Now we can't get rid of them. So, I'm all for like inclusion involving people, but we have to be able to ask, is what this person's producing from their instrument or a microphone helping the congregation sing or making it tougher for them to sing? And if we've all agreed on that value, then we should be able to move ahead a lot more smoothly. So gang vocals, we need to consolidate the melody, which we also need to unify the vocal style. We can't have several people up here on a microphone where one person just loves, the Elvis scoop. This is amazing grace. While someone else is, this is amazing grace. Next to someone who's got some classical training when they're in high school. This is amazing grace. We've got to listen to each other and sing with one vocal approach that leans towards each other. That's what I mean by unifying the vocal style. And judicious use of harmony. Harmony vocals are wonderful when used correctly, but just understand that if we use harmony vocals too much and too often, it can actually confuse the congregation about how the song goes. So what I like to do is I say to my team, if I've got enough singers to have some harmony vocalists, we make sure any harmony vocal is well rehearsed, because bad harmony vocals are really, really distracting for a congregation. Don't guess your harmony vocal. But we also say every time we do a first chunk of a song, like the first time we do the chorus, the first time we do any bridge, it's only melody. All of us singing the melody. And the second time through something, we might break to harmony. And I need to say to the sound engineer, hey, Chris, I'll be on melody and Stephanie will be on melody, but the other two singers, they might break to harmony. So in the house, can you mix them a bit softer? And so we have to have their harmony vocals mixed softer. Make sense? Good. Oh, gosh. Practice is personal, rehearsal is relational. People will have to practice on their own before we get together to rehearse. We need to provide them with the good resources. We need to give them enough time. We have to give them the expectations. But what I actually see most often with church bands is they're mixing jamming and practice and sound check and rehearsal all mixed together, and that doesn't work. So I would say we don't have any time for jamming. We have to have practice happening at home before we get together. Don't use those terms interchangeably. Practice is what you do before we're all together. Rehearsal is what we do when we're together. And we have to have a defined sound check with start and finish. Practice is personal, rehearsal is relational. Let me just quickly flow through this. I'm sorry, folks. If you need to leave, go ahead, but I really want to give you as much value as I can. So just understand that when we ask people to practice a song, some people think that means listen to it once or twice in the car on the way to rehearsal, and some people might mean, well, try and work out everything the professionals did and try and copy it. I don't mean either of those things. I mean that arranging your own part before you get there. But if you think about it, if a song exists that you've never heard and never heard of, that's a level 0, unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know it. And then if you've been told there is a song that we're going to play in 2 Sundays' time, now it's a level 1 or level 2. It's conscious incompetence. I know I don't know it. And that's where most church musicians seem to show up to rehearsal. I've heard it a few times. I might have even picked up my instrument and doodled along with it a little bit. But I haven't really arranged my own part. Level 3, level 4, conscious competence. You know you're at level 3 or level 4 because you don't need to be looking at the chord chart all the time now. Chord charts are not supposed to be read like notation. They're supposed to be just little cheat sheets to remind you of where you need a bit of a reminder. And there is a level 5, unconscious competence. You don't have to think about it anymore. But we need our church musicians, I believe, showing up at level 3 or 4. I don't have to read every word. I don't need to look at every chord change, but I'm ready to go. Sound engineers need to be mixing sound that help the congregation sing, not too loud, not too soft, and leaves a gap. But the one role that I think is the most important, has the most influence on the success or failure of everything we do with regard to getting the congregation to sing, is not the drummer, it's not the sound engineer, it's not the worship leader, it's the projectionist. So we've got to, I don't know why projectionists sometimes aren't at rehearsals. I think they should be being sent the songs selection and the song resources so they can be prepared as well, be totally familiar. You need a musical person to do this incredibly important job. Someone who understands the flow of songs and how verses and choruses and bridges work, especially if you're more spontaneous at the way you present songs. There's a beautiful art to how to change lyrics, when to change lyrics. For me, it's as we sing the last syllable on a page, we need the next slide. And what I see a lot of singers on the platform, even though there's a screen like this at the back, a confidence monitor, they've still got a music stand with all the words. Why? Because they don't trust the projectionist. And you know, and the projectionist doesn't trust the singers. So you've got to get on the same page, work together, and get rid of the music stands and work on it and get it right. Make sure they match. Good deal. We're done. I had some really cool thing to do at the end, but we've run out of time. I love you guys. It's great to be back here in Central Waikato. And thank you. I have absolutely fire-hosed you, but we can continue these conversations even after I'm not here. We can make a time for a Zoom call if I'm gone, but I do have those gaps. Would love to see you on Sunday night. If you are a competent, confident singer who loves Jesus and would like to sing with me on Sunday night, come and have a chat with me now or this week. And I'd like to have like 2, 3, 4 at Fitzorder with me. And I'll see you then. Thank you very much, guys.